afternoon and welcome. It is Marie with your new school. Hopefully it's letting everybody join. I'm waiting. The waiting room is processing. Oh, there we go. Hopefully all of you guys are logged in. Those of you who are just jumped on. This is Marie with your new school. If you can please type in your full name, your full school name, along with location, if your school has multiple locations, into the chat box so that we can track attendance. Starting in just a couple more minutes. For those of you who just logged in, please make sure that you put your full name, your full school name, along with location, if you are from a school that has multiple locations, into the chat box for attendance. All right, good afternoon and welcome. This is Marie with your new school. If you have not done so already, please make sure that you type in your full name and school name into the chat box, along with location if you are from a school that has multiple locations, so that we can track attendance and send that over to your schools. Yesterday, if you logged in to the overview, we talked about all the products that are available through Aloxxi. Today's webinar is not quite as long. This should be a short one, and this is going to just focus on the Chroma permanent hair color line. I'm going to minimize a couple screens on my side. So if you have not done so already, please make sure that you've typed in your full name and school name into the chat box for attendance. So welcome to Aloxxi Chroma permanent hair color. So our permanent hair color has CBD complex, and this is to condition, deposit, color, and protect the hair to provide multiple dimensional hair color. So the conditioning, so how this works is the conditions has emollients derived from coconut oil combined with highly charged copolymers, including P22, to create a cocoon of conditioners which encapsulate the color pigments. High definition crystallized micropigments ensure 100% color saturation. These crystallized micropigments easily penetrate into the cortex. Once inside the cortex, the pigment begins to aggregate, forming larger, more concentrated molecules. And then the Protect, these are plant-based protectants combined with low ammonia formula, protects the hair and scalp during the color process. So here's the full level system and tonal direction or tonal series available in the Chroma collection or our permanent hair color line. The newest one, which is all the way to the far right of your screen, is brown gold. This is our BRG series. This was just released maybe 3-4 months ago, so not even. I just saw it maybe, I don't know, a few weeks ago. So I have yet to see what these colors look like. I cannot wait to order them and get them in to try them out. But that's our newest series of tonal direction. So we are going to recap on our tonal series. So we have the natural, which is represented by the letter N. This is used for natural level selections. The base contains all 3 primary colors in varied proportions. It creates natural results without excessive warmth or coolness. Adding to color formulas ensures 100% gray coverage on gray or white hair. So you'll use the neutrals for gray coverage. We also have intense neutral, which is represented by a double N. This is formulated with increased pigment levels of all 3 primary colors combined to produce 100% gray coverage on 50% or more resistant gray hair. The natural tan, this is a natural gold based, creates natural rich warm tones, ideal for 100% gray coverage with a warm tonal balance. This is also great to use for low lighting. The natural ash, this is a natural blue violet base, produces a natural cool tone and controls unwanted orangey yellow tones when lifting. It's used for 100% gray coverage as well. And then we have the natural ash matte. This is a natural with a blue-green base. So this is really going to control unwanted warm undertones when lifting natural dark hair. And then we have our beige, which is represented by B. This is an ideal blend of ash and gold to create that classic beige. Our gold violet or GV series, this is a gold violet base, creates soft balance and warm tones. This is ideal for low lighting and doing a color back. Our ash is blue based, so this is to help control unwanted orange tones when lifting. We also have an intense ash. This is an intense blue base to control unwanted warmth when lifting. This is particularly good for clients who have naturally dark hair. Pearl, this is a violet blue based. It controls unwanted yellow gold tones when lifting, and it's represented by the letter P. The violet series, represented by the letter V, is a blue red base to create rich burgundy shades. Added to lighter levels, it's used to control unwanted warmth. Our red gold is a red gold based product. Illuminates color with a really nice, rich, warm red. The mahogany red, this is red brown base, and this is to help create more of that natural redheads. And then we have a red represented by R. This is formulated with true red to ensure vibrant red tones in your formulas. And then we also have an extra red, which is an intense red base for those extremely rich reds that you're looking for. We have red copper, which is our red gold base, and this is going to produce bold, vibrant red copper tones. Also have copper, which is orange base to enhance or accentuate any warm tones. And then we have golden red, which is our GR base, and this is also going to help with those beautiful, rich, warm mahogany tones. And we have gold. Gold base is just the brilliant, bright gold for more natural coverage. And then our newest is the brown gold, which is a brown gold base, which is great for low lighting, and this is going to create those beautiful chestnut browns. Things that you want to make sure that you understand is your color wheel. Color wheel is key to formulating, doing color correction, and also understanding your color line. So anytime you start using a new color line, make sure that you're reading through your swatch book to understand your tonal series and what those tonal series are made from. So not every ash, so our ash is a blue based, or intense ash is an intense blue base. Some other color lines, their ash is a green base. So make sure you understand what you're working with, and to do that, the color wheel helps. So every swatch book should have a color wheel that's labeled so that you understand what their tonal series represents. So our tonal series, or our tonal range, is numbered 0 through 8. And each of those numbers have been assigned to a color on the color wheel, which represents those tonal series and where they fall on the color wheel. So make sure you understand your color line that you are working with, and understanding what your base color is for each of those tonal series. So just a couple things about your primary colors, which are blue, red, and yellow. They are pure and they make up all other colors. And so all other colors are made by mixing either equal parts or proportionate parts of your primaries. So blue is the darkest of your primary colors, and it's the most dominant color. It's the first color to be deposited into the hair, and it's also the first color to be lightened from the hair. So keep that in mind when you are formulating. Red is a medium warm dynamic primary. So adding to the formula is going to add your rich reds to any of your formulas. And yellow is our lightest of the primary colors, and it's going to add brightness to your formulas. So keep that in mind when you are formulating as well. And just also remember that porous hair, it rejects all warmth and absorbs all cool colors, whereas healthy hair rejects cool colors and absorbs warm colors. So keep that in mind when you are formulating or doing color correction, especially clients who have really porous hair. It's going to grab all warm colors, it's going to grab all cool colors and reject all warm. So when you're formulating, it's a good thing to know what base those tonal directions are made from, so that you understand what you're formulating with. So really read through your swatch books and understand your tonal directions and what those colors are made from. Also, understanding the level and tonal direction. So all of our Aloxxi tubes, we've put both the American numbering system and the international level system onto our packaging. So it will give you the American, which is typically a number followed by letters, and then the international leveling and numbering system is a number followed by some sort of break, whether it's a period, a slash, a dash of some sort, and then followed by additional numbers, which represent your tonal direction. So the number refers to the level of the color, and the letters refer to the tonal direction. If there's 2 letters, the first letter is the primary tone, the second letter is the secondary tone. So it means there's more of that first shade than there is of the second. And then if it's an international numbering system, the first number again is your level, the second number is the primary tone, and the third number is the secondary tone. In the Chroma series, we have a Platinum series. This is formulated to achieve the ultimate in high lift blondes without creating warmth. The botanical base provides protection to the hair while it adds shine. It has high concentration of pigments provided for a 1:2 mixing ratio, so it's 1 part color to 2 parts developer. Virgin applications and new growth applications only. Start the color application in the darkest area. Apply this generously using small sectioning. The Platinum series can be mixed with Boost to create 1 additional level of lift. So for maximum lift, you're going to utilize 15 grams of Boost to 15 grams of your Platinum series with 60 grams of your 40 volume. If you wanted to convert that into ounces, it would be a 1/2 ounce of Boost, 1/2 ounce of your Platinum series, and then 2 ounces of your developer. If you're measuring on a scale, your scale should be able to switch between grams and ounces to help make it easier for measuring color. I highly recommend using a scale. I prefer the scale just because it is more accurate, but if you don't have a scale, the ounces are listed on the side of the tube. And then you're going to develop at room temperature for up to 50 minutes for your maximum lift and tonal control. And then you can utilize tones, which is our demi-permanent, to refresh your mid-lengths and ends if you did a touch-up application. And then this is the boost. So again, the boost is designed to provide up to one additional level of lift. It can be used on resistant gray hair for better color penetration. It's also, boost is part of the formula. So because it's part of the formula, you do need to add developer. So think of boost as just a colorless pigment. And then you'll mix up in equal proportions of your boost with your chroma or your high lift with your choice of your developer. Now, if you're using it as a lightening cream, so this is great for virgin hair or somebody who wants virgin hair that just wants those like sunlight kind of highlights. They're not looking for anything really bright or blonde. You can mix your boost with 20 volume or 30 volume or even 40 volume, depends on how high of a level of lift you're looking for. So if you're using 20 volume, you're just going to get one level of lift. If you're using 30 volume, you'll get 2 levels of lift. If you're using 40 volume, you'll get about 3 levels of lift with just the boost by itself. And you can do highlights with it on virgin hair to create just that sun-kissed look. On previously colored hair, you can mix 1 part of your boost to 1.5 parts of 40 volume. That is going to achieve about 1 to 1.5 levels of lift on hair that's already been colored. On levels 6 and above, to achieve 0.5 to 1 level of lift, you would apply that same formula, but on levels 5 or lower. So levels 1 through 5, you'll get about 0.5 to 1 level of lift. So it will lift color treated hair. You're just not going to get a lot of lift. Again, it's going to give you that sun-kissed look. Chroma gems, these are our concentrates. They're a collection of concentrated pigments that are used to customize color formulas for each individual client. If utilizing a small addition of gems, then you don't need to add any additional developer. So if you're only using like 5 grams, which really 5 grams, if I had to put it in ounces, it's like a squirt, like a dot, like you don't need a lot. So you don't have to compensate. Anything higher than the 5 grams, so if you're doing 10 grams, which is like 1/8 of an ounce, you're gonna need to compensate for your developer if you're going to be adding more than that to your formula. So the gems come in cools and warms. Our cool gems are blue and violet. These are utilized to enhance cool tones in darker levels, levels 5 and darker, or to control unwanted warmth in tones when you're going lighter, levels 6 or higher. So if you're doing virgin hair and you want to do highlights with virgin hair and they're naturally a level 6 or a 7, you can use the 11 with your 40 volume or 30 volume, and you can add some blue or violet, and that's going to help to eliminate those unwanted warm tones so that it processes more cool. So it's kind of like lifting and toning at the same time. The warm gems, red, gold, and copper. These are used to enhance warm tones to ensure balanced color results in low lighting or on porous hair. They can be used for fillers during a color correction as well. These are great, again, if you're low lighting somebody who's really blonde or they've gotten highlights so many times that now the ends just look like a solid blonde. You can throw in some low lights just to ensure that those low lights don't get too drabby or too ashy. You can add a little bit of the gold or the copper to your formula when low lighting, and that's going to ensure that it doesn't grab too drab, because remember, porous hair rejects all warmth and absorbs all cool colors. So you definitely want to make sure that you're kicking up that warmth so it doesn't grab too ashy. So options for gray coverage. So when you are formulating for gray, natural end results are achieved when a natural double N, the NT, NA, or the natural matte series are selected for gray-white hair. All other series need to be mixed with any one of these neutrals. So if you have a client who is has red hair or wants a very rich cinnamon kind of a brown to their hair and they've got gray, you have to add a neutral to their formula. You can't just throw let's say, we're going to go with red because red's just easy. We're going to do let's say they want to be a 5RN, which is a red brown, and they have gray hair. You have to add a neutral to your formula. If you don't add the neutral, it's going to look like Crayola red. hair. So you need that base in there to make it look as natural as possible, especially for gray coverage. So depending on the percentage of gray will determine how much you need to use. So for up to 50% gray hair, you need to use that percentage of neutral in your formula. So if my client is 25% gray, 25% of my formula needs to be some sort of neutral. So in this example, again, because we can use the NT, you're going to do 15 grams, which is a half ounce, to 5 grams, which is a quarter of your 6NT, because she's 25% gray. And then you would mix your half ounce or 1 ounce of developer, because our mixing ratio is 1 to 1.5. So whatever your percentage of gray is, that is the percentage of neutral you need when covering up to 50%. Now, if they are 50% or higher, then you need to do equal parts of your neutral followed by whatever your tonal direction is, whether it's gold, copper, red, gold, violet, beige, whatever it is, you need to have 50-50 of your formula so that you can get your maximum gray coverage. So I hope that makes sense. So anything less than 50%, whatever the percentage of gray is the percentage of neutral. If they are 50% or higher, then it's equal parts of your neutral to your targeted shade. Now, if they have really resistant gray hair, you can do a pre-pigmentation. And what this is you're going to take whatever your target shade is. So if it's part of the gold series or the gold red or copper series, you're going to take that pigment so we're going to just say a level 6GR. You're going to take the 6GR, and let's say they want to be a 6, so now you're going to do a 7GR. So you're just going to go 1 shade lighter than whatever their targeted level is. So they want to be a level 6, we're going to do a 7. So we're going to take 7GR, we're going to mix that with equal parts with distilled water, no developer. And yes, it has to be distilled water. You don't want to use tap water. Tap water has too many minerals and chemicals in it. So distilled water is best. You're going to mix your pigment with your distilled water. You're going to apply the mixture to the isolated gray areas that are the most resistant and let it sit for 3 to 5 minutes. Don't rinse it. And then you'll mix up your desired color formula. So if it's, 6N with 6GR, 20 volume, you'll mix up your formula and then you'll apply it directly over the water mixture. And that's going to also help with gray coverage, resistant hair. It's just going to add a little more depth. It's basically filling the gray hair before you do your all over color or your touch up. Developing time and developers. So for gray or all over colors, just tone on tone, you would use 10 volume. You would let them process for 25 to 35 minutes. For 1 level of lift, you would use 20 volume for 30 to 45 minutes. 2 levels of lift, you will use 30 volume for 40 to 45 minutes. And for 3 levels of lift, up to 4 levels of lift, if you're using the Platinum series, you would use 40 volume for 40 to 45 minutes. Just remember, fine hair is more receptive to hair color, so therefore it may need less developing time. So keep that in mind when you are formulating with fine hair. And then the mixing ratio, again, for traditional chroma is 1 to 1.5. So 1 part color to 1.5 parts developer. And then again, you decide how you're going to mix, whether it's going to be in grams or in ounces. And then for the Platinum series, it's always 1 to 2. 1 part color, 2 parts developer. For refreshing, so if you've done a retouch using your Chroma, permanent hair color, we recommend that you use tones to do your refresh, which is our demi-permanent. And then you'll develop the color until it is uniform from base to ends. Now, if you don't have tones available in the shades that you need, but you do have it in Chroma, you can use Chroma to refresh. And if you do use Chroma, which is your permanent hair color, you want to first mist the hair with your color prime, which is our pre-color treatment. And you'll mix 1 part Chroma to 2 parts of your 10 volume developer and then develop for 10 to 20 minutes or until the color is uniform. Color fillers. So it is recommended to fill the hair when coloring back 2 or more levels, or if the client or if the hair is overly porous and it's not going to hold color on the mid-lengths and ends. Chroma or tones gems may be utilized depending on the physical properties of the hair. If the hair is really porous and damaged, definitely use tones, which is the demi. If it's moderate porosity, you can get away with using the chroma gems. But either way, gems is what you want to use. So when you're doing a filler, your formula is typically 60 grams of distilled water and 45 grams of your gems concentrate. Typically, if you're doing a filler, it's always the warmed gem, so the red, the copper, or the gold. And then you're going to refer to the contributing pigment guide when determining which gems to use. You'll develop for 15 to 25 minutes at room temperature. Do a strand test before you blot it off, and then you'll blot, or you can lightly rinse it, and then you will follow with your color application. If you are doing a rinse, then really make sure you towel blot the hair really well before you apply your color, or maybe even just take the blow dryer and just get at least 80% of the moisture out. So when you're filling, we refer to the contributing pigment guide, which is below. So depending on, where's my mouse? So depending on what level you are filling down to. So let's say your client is naturally a level 9, or not naturally, artificially a level 9, and now they want to go back to their natural, which we're going to say their natural is a 5. So we know that we need to mix a red and an orange filler to place that onto the hair first. So you're going to mix up your distilled water, and we're going to use the red and the gold or the copper gems in equal proportions with our distilled water. Mix that up, apply that all over, let them sit for 15 to 25 minutes. I personally towel blot it off, and then you'll towel blot or rinse if that's what you want to do. Just really make sure you get the moisture out. And then we will mix our formula, whether it's a 5N with some 5K or whatever your tonal direction is, whatever your formula will be, you'll apply your all over colors so that when you process and they rinse them out, their color is going to take more evenly. Now, if you don't have the gems to do a filler, then I recommend using tones, which is a demi-permanent. If you are going to be using a demi-permanent and not the color concentrates to do your filler, you still want to follow your exposing contributing pigment guide. So we still want to make sure that we have some sort of red-orange in our formula. I know I'm going to be a level 5. That's my end result. So I'm going to pick through in my, and I'm not going to use Aloxxi. We're just going to say in general, regardless of your color line. If I want to use a demi-permanent to fill the hair, I know I need a red-orange, and I know it needs to be at least 2 levels lighter than my targeted. So I'm going to find a level 7 gold or gold copper of some sort, apply my demi-permanent 7RG or GR, whatever your tonal direction is for your color line that you're using. Let that process, rinse that out, really get the hair towel dried or a light blow dry, then mix your level 5 targeted formula. If you do a level 5 with your filler, with the demi, it puts too much pigment into the hair, and then you're going to see all of that undertone, and your formula might end up being too warm if your client doesn't want all that warmth. So anytime you're using a demi-permanent hair color to fill, just go a couple shades lighter than your target level as your filler, and then use your target level when you do your all over color. And that's going to help to ensure that you're getting a beautiful end result with minimal fading. And then I personally always recommend doing some sort of clear gloss over hair that is extremely porous when you're doing a corrective color or a color back so that you're adding that extra layer of protection. So some sort of clear gloss. If you are familiar with Aloxxi, I would definitely use either the Ultra Hots Clear or the Insta Boost Clear Boss. Both of those are clear, either a semi-permanent or a clear conditioning mask to put over the hair. Now, color removal. To remove unwanted cool tones or color saturation from mid-lengths and ends, you'll follow these formulas. So, color removal formula. You need 30 grams or 1 ounce of your blue or white lightener, and then you would use 3 ounces or 90 grams of developer or distilled hot water. And then you want to add a pump or 2 of our reparative prescriptive serum into that mixture to help protect the hair. And then these are the guidelines for mixing and for the choice of developer that you're using. So depending on how much you're trying to lift out of the hair will determine which developer you use. If you're only looking to get about half to 1 level of product out of the hair, you would use the lightener with just the distilled hot water. If you are going to be lifting 2 to 3 levels of removal, you're going to do lightener with 10 volume developer, and don't forget your reparative serum. 3 to 4 levels, you would use 20 volume. 4 to 5 levels of lightening, you would use 30 volume, and 5 to 6 levels, you would use 40 volume developer or just for that type of lifting. But anything that's only about half a level to a level, you would just use the distilled water. But always make sure you have the reparative serum in there so it helps protect the hair while it's lifting. Choices of lighteners, we have blue, white, hands-free, and ultra. They're designed to decolorize natural or artificial pigment from the hair. You can use them on and or off the scalp. And they're also great for pre-lightening prior to a toning or using when you want to do those fun intense shades using the Ultra Hots. So depending on how much lift you need or want to achieve will determine which lightener you use. If you're looking for just up to 7 levels of lift, you would use either the white, the blue, or the hands-free lightener. If you are looking for 9 levels of lift, then you would use the ultra light lightener. And then again, depending on your application will determine what developer you use, if it's on the scalp or off the scalp, and then also your mixing ratio. So on the scalp, if you're using the blue or white lightener, you would use either 7, 10, or 20 volume. Hands-free, you would use 10 or 20 volume. And ultra, the 9 levels of lift, you would use 20 volume. And these are all for on the scalp. For off the scalp applications, for the white and blue lightener, you can use any of our developers, 7 through 40. Hands-free, you want to use 10, 20, 30, or 40. And then the ultralight, you can only use 20 or 30. Your mixing and developing time. So for the white or blue lightener, on the scalp mixing ratio is 1 to 2 or up to 1 to 3. For off the scalp application, it's 1 to 1 or up to 1 to 3. And your developing time is up to 50 minutes. Using the hands-free lightener, your mixing ratio for both on the scalp and or off the scalp is 1 to 1, and your processing is up to 50 minutes. And then the ultralight, which again is your 9 levels of lift, on the scalp, 1 to 2, off the scalp, anywhere from 1 to 1.5 to 1 to 2.5. And your developing time would be up to 55 minutes. Now we do have the quick lift lighteners. These are lightning packets, and that will get you up to 15, will get you up to 5 levels of lift in 15 minutes. I'm going to mute somebody's microphone. Give me 1 second. So here are some looks that you can achieve with some of the Aloxxi Chroma. I tried ones that just pertain to Chroma, but These do utilize InstaBoost, and one of them does utilize tones. But again, check out the Aloxxi website for some of their color applications. You have to register with them, and then you can download any of the PDFs that have the formulas as well as your color applications. So the first one is called Lava Lights. Her color personality is called Hazelnut Strut. So her natural level was a level 5. She had no gray, her texture was average, and her porosity was normal. Her color formula, this utilizes our newest shades, which are the brown golds, the BRGs. So formula A is 6 BRG with 20 volume. Formula B is 8 BRG with 40 volume, and formula C is 7 BRG with 30 volume. Any of our color applications, we always prime the hair with Color Prime. The Color Prime pre-color treatment is going to even out the porosity in the hair. It's also going to give the hair a slight cleanse. And if you get it on the scalp, it's also going to protect the scalp from the processing hair color. Some clients just have more sensitivity than others. As we know, if you've gotten your hair colored, you know that hair color kind of has that itchy feeling. The Color Prime helps to prevent that to the best of its abilities. So we just give that a quick spritz all over the hair, rub it in with our fingers before we apply. And you're not saturating the hair, you're just kind of just giving it a quick mist, and it's going to help to even out the porosity so that your color takes evenly. So for this application, you're going to do 4 slices in the front perimeter and 4 slices on each side with Formula A. And you're going to apply Formula A at just the base. And then you're going to fade into Formula B on your mid-lengths and ends. So in your foil, you're going to have Formula A, which is the dark 6 BRG with 20 volume, from the base to about, depending on the length of the hair, I would say at least 3 inches down, 3 to 4 inches down, depending on the length. If it's really long, I would go even further down. And then you will feather in Formula B, which is the 8 BRG with 40 volume to your mid-length and ends. You're going to apply 4 more slices in the back crest line. And again, you're going to do Formula A at the base and Formula B on the mid-lengths and ends. On the remaining of the hair, you're going to apply Formula C, which is the 7 BRG with 30 volume. You're going to let that process. Once the processing time is up, you'll go to the shampoo basin. You'll give the hair a slight rinse to emulsify the color, really scrub the color in the hairline and along on the scalp. This is going to help prevent staining. And then you'll rinse until the color runs clear. We don't use shampoo and conditioner after we do our color services. We use Color Lock. Color Lock is our post-color finisher. It is a cleansing cream and a conditioning cream in one, so it's going to cleanse and condition the hair, but it's also going to neutralize any chemical residue left on the hair. So this stays on for 2 minutes, and then you will rinse clean until the water runs clear again. And then you'll follow with an overlay of your InstaBoost Clear Boss or Gloss Boss for 5 minutes at the basin. And you don't have to do the clear, it's up to you. I recommend it. I think they are amazing conditioning masks, so it's going to provide beautiful shine to the hair. We have InstaBoost in many, many colors to choose from. It's also a retail product, so your clients can purchase that for home use as well. And they last about 5 to 15 shampoos, depending on how often they shampoo their hair. Next is the Flight Night, and her color personality is called Sterling Siren. So our client has natural level 2. Her texture is fine, and her porosity is normal. So to achieve this look, we need to pre-lighten her hair to a pale yellow, and we use the ultra light lightener with the blue 20 volume developer so that it will help cancel out as much of that underlining warmth as possible. Once we've gotten to our pale yellow or light yellow, we're going to rinse the hair out, and then we'll apply our Color Prime to even out the porosity of the hair, and then we will apply our formula. So this application has 4 formulas. And all of them we're using are Intense Ash series, which is a blue-based color. So we're going to do 6 AA with 10 volume, 8 AA with 10 volume, 9 AA with 10 volume, and then our final formula is 10 AA with 10 volume. So you're going to apply formula A at the base, you're going to feather into formula B, and then into formula C, and then into formula D throughout the mid-length and ends. So when we mean by feathering, you're going to apply your first formula to the base area. When you apply your second formula B, you're then going to take a separate brush. I like to use mascara wands, disposable mascara wands, or a soft feathering brush, and then I'll just smudge the 2 colors together, and I work my way down through all of the 4 formulas. We're going to let that process, rinse until the water runs clear, finish with your color lock, let that sit for 2 minutes, and then rinse, and then finish with Insta-Boost in Silver Fox. You'll leave that on for 5 minutes and then rinse thoroughly. A client who is receiving this type of color application, Insta-Boost is a must product for them to go home with. So make sure they're purchasing the Silver Fox, because this is a color, it has semi-permanent hair color in it, and it's a conditioning mask in one. This is to help maintain that beautiful silver look to their hair until their next visit for their touch-up. Because we all know hair that's been pre-lightened to a light yellow and then recolored, color on porous hair doesn't hold very well. So for her to maintain that silverness at home in between services, once a month she can do, or once a week, every other week, she can do an Insta-Boost with the Silver Fox. It's just going to refresh that silver. Now, keep in mind, the more you use Insta-Boost, the more intense and darker it will be. So you need to make sure your client understands that as well, so they don't use it too often and then they're like dark gray. The final is the Stellar Starburst. Her color personality is a touch of Tuscany. So she's naturally a level 5. She has fine textured hair. She's got normal to porous ends. So she's got some longer length, so hair that is that long, chances are those ends are pretty porous, just from age and environmental factors, as well as home care. So your first formula is your white lightener with 20 volume. Your second formula is 7NT with 20 volume. Your third formula, or formula C, is 8NT with 30 volume. And then the final formula is our demi-permanent tones, 9NT with 7 volume activator. So you're going to, again, color prime the hair first. And then you'll place your foils in a starburst pattern on the sides and in the front fringe. And you can do slices or weaves, that's up to you. And you want to do them on a diagonal in a starburst pattern, and you're going to apply formula A, which is your lightener, to your mid-lengths and ends, from base to mid-length and ends. You're going to let that process wash. While that's processing, you're going to throw formula B onto the remaining lengths and formula C. So formula B will be at the base, formula C will be mid-lengths and ends. And then again, you want to smudge them to blend the 2 colors. You'll develop and rinse. And then you'll apply your color lock. And then you will do a prescriptive treatment. And then you can also do your toner. Now, sometimes this application was toned. Sometimes you don't have to tone. If your highlights look beautiful and you just want to use the all-over color as your toner, you can do that as well. So when you're rinsing out, you pull all your foils out, you give the hair a nice rinse, you emulsify that all-over color into those highlights, you let it sit for a few minutes, then you rinse it off, do your conditioning treatment, and then finish with your color lock. So that's another option as well. I do that a lot. If I'm doing an all over color and I like the all over color formula for this example, an NT, which is a natural tan, those make beautiful toners. I don't necessarily mix up a separate toner. I just do a quick rinse at the shampoo bowl, emulsify my all over color onto those highlighted pieces, and it tones beautifully. But that's just a quick option at the shampoo bowl. And then of course, because her hair is so long and the ends are really porous, you definitely want to add a conditioning treatment with the reparative treatment, rinse, and then finish with your color lock. And then I would even go as far as doing the Clear Boss over her hair as well. And then have her go home with the Clear Boss mask in the InstaBoost. So for more information on Aloxxi products, you would contact your account executive, and then for future webinars, you would contact myself. Are there any questions regarding hair color in general? And it doesn't have to be Aloxxi. If you guys have questions regarding formulating, and it doesn't have to be color line specific. If you've ran into any issues that you've had with clients while you were on the clinic floor that you just didn't really understand why it happened, feel free to ask. I will answer any questions that you may have. Otherwise, if there are no questions, please make sure that you type in your full name and school name into the chat box, along with location if you are from a school that has multiple locations, so that we can send the attendance over to the appropriate schools. All right, well, thank you guys so much. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon. Bye-bye.